Oh, yeah, Remember the key to success is working hard. For our country we must have regard. Forget all your differences, let we start to build. And onward to progress we surely will. Because now, more than ever, we must show discipline, tolerance, and production to build a strong and better nation.
Yes, indeed.
I say,
we want to build a strong and better nation. We want to prepare a community, well, firstly, a home, a community, and generally speaking, our country, so that our children and children can inherit something better to exist, to live. And that is what we are striving for. So we are moving Grenada forward together. I want to start off by encouraging the fans on Facebook to please share the live. Sharing is caring. I want to also say to those on YouTube, please share the live. Those on radio, Vibes 101.3 FM and Vibes 106.3 FM here in Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique, share, talk, tell people about the program where they can find it on radio. In New York, those on Wild 106.3 FM, please share the news about where people can find the program. I want to say to you, we must be proud of our government because they inherited an industry called the poor and the vulnerable. Every time the NNP opened their mouth, it could be ministers of government, it could be pundits, it could be whoever. It was all about the poor and the vulnerable. Not that they were doing anything to get these people out from poverty or from vulnerability, but instead keeping them poor and keeping them vulnerable, keeping them dependent. So every month, you have able-bodied people who could work, strong, waiting for the poor relief assistance, the $300, the $450 every month. But they could work. But the NNP have them in that poor and vulnerable category where they give them that money every month. So there is no need for them to go and work. Now the recertification is taking place with that program. And a lot of these people who could work and earn a daily bread, who could contribute to the development of this country and put bread on their table, they would have to go and work. They would have to find something to do. And that's important. Also, a lot of these people who collect that money, when you monitor what they're doing with that money, drink rum, smoke, pretty much that, right? And if you work hard for your money, you would not smoke and drink rum with it and blow it out. Because you know you have to save for rainy days and you know you have bills to pay and commitments to meet. So that industry is quietly falling apart. And it's a good thing because you want people who could contribute, who could work, to wake up in the morning and go to work, or if they're working during the night, to go to work. Grenada needs that. Grenada needs productivity. It doesn't make sense they sitting and waiting for $300 at the end of the month from government. Then you have some people who could do something behind their house, for example, or in the community. They wait on some kind of program from government. So the voucher program, for example, the back to school voucher program, they're waiting on that. They could save towards their child going back to school. They go into all shows, all events, all everything. They could save towards that, but they're waiting on that because the NNP make them believe that government has to take care of them. Government has to give them the poor relief assistance. Government has to give them the back to school voucher. Government has to give them material. Government has to give them everything. If their gas they go into some constituency office and beg for $40 to go buy a gas. If they have some issue with something where they need some money, everything. They believe that government has to mind them. And over time, they become loyal to one party because they're told if that party is not in power, they cannot eat, they cannot clothe themselves, they cannot pay their bills, they cannot send their children to school, they cannot exist. But the party is out of power. But they're still surviving, they're still getting by. And that is what is amazing. They were taught that it's only one party that can help them or that can provide something for them. And all the programs are still there. Those programs have not been removed. All the same social safety net programs, they still exist. But I am so happy that we are seeing more jobs created within the different communities. I am so happy that people are being empowered instead of keeping them poor, keeping them dependent on some member of parliament or on some kind of system, some program. They have to get up and work because many of them could work. Hence the reason the government is doing stuff that benefits the entire community and the entire country, right? So they're fixing the health centers and clinics, and they're putting the required materials in there so that they can go there and get the assistance, right? They're focusing heavily on agriculture, finding markets, because nearly everybody in Grenada has some mango tree, has some backyard, or they could plant, they could do things. So they're finding the market. We hear of market for mangoes in the United States, in Trinidad. Well, we know of Europe from way back. That has not stopped. Market for dasheen in Trinidad. Market for banana, plantain, ginger in Trinidad. So they're finding markets. And then those who are involved in the tourism sector, more airlifts, they're finding that. So you could create things and sell and survive. More planes coming in and out of Grenada, right? So things are happening. So the government is going broad in the area of education, more training opportunities, more scholarships. Things are happening. Infrastructure, roads, a lot of construction is taking place throughout the country. The creative sector, you see concession given to the people in that industry so they can ply their trade, they can do their work and create stuff and make money out of it. So the government is focusing on building people and building institutions and making sure that institutions are strong. And once you do that, then the poor and vulnerable industry will be dismantled. Not you taking some hammer and mash it down. But with these programs and projects and initiatives, they're having an effect on this industry, because remember, that is what kept the NNP in power for so long, the poor and vulnerable industry. And that will not change overnight. In other words, these people are going to remain loyal to the NNP for quite a while. But once they start realizing they could work and there are opportunities, once they start realizing they have to put bread on the table, and here is a work, here is a job, they can make it. They're going to change, right? In terms of their mindset, it's going to take some time. But these people, when it comes to their party, their loyalty to a party, it will take a long, it will take about 20, 30 years to get them to that place where they would change in terms of party and politics. But for now, it's about getting them to that place where they can work and earn a daily bread and not sit down and wait on government to give them everything. And that is what must happen, because the core of these people, they support the NNP. And that is why the NNP is playing on that and focusing still on the poor and the vulnerable, the poor and the vulnerable. We have to break that cycle. Through education comes liberation. So the younger set, you give them the opportunity where they can be educated, so they can get a job, so that they can create things, they can do stuff. So if you're not academically inclined, you could go into some technical, area. You could learn masonry, carpentry, plumbing, electrician, electrical, to become an electrician. You could learn something. You could become a designer, right? You could be a seamstress, a tailor. You could become some interior designer. You could become somebody who dealing with tiles, right? You specialize in laying tiles, or a painter, or the trowel that they're doing now. You could learn a skill. A lot of construction is taking place in Grenada. A lot of people coming back home and build. So you could learn to do something. Yes, you have those who are academically inclined. They will become doctors and lawyers and teachers and, just name it. But you could at least identify your strengths. See where you're good, in what area you're good at and what you're capable of, and expand on it. Get the necessary assistance and expand on it. And I love the direction that the government is going, where they say, hey, you can stay home and actually earn a salary every month or every week or every fortnight, because the online world is so prevalent. In other words, internet, computer, tablet, phone, you can stay at home and earn your daily bread. Once the government can train you, they can find those call centers online. They can find those businesses that want people to do X or Y online. And you can earn your daily bread there. But you have to be disciplined. You have to be properly trained. Because once you're not supervised, you don't have a manager over your head, that tend to cause people to be ill-disciplined. Time and getting things done, because it would be results-based oriented. You got to get certain things done. And we could do it. But our people have to become more disciplined. I can tell you I'm happy because throughout the country, people are extremely joyous that things are happening. Everything cannot happen one time, but things are happening. Yes, the NNP supporters, they will forever complain. That will not change. They will cry down hell every day. In fact, they're now creating this talk, the chatters on the streets. The chatters on the streets say this and say that. That's how they're functioning. They can't tell you who, but they're coming up, they're cooking, they're concocting all kind of stories just to start something or to be relevant. Right? They would forever complain. They would be forever negative because they cannot get over the defeat. And they would never get over the defeat. But people generally in the country are happier than before. Things are happening. Things are happening. And we need to support this government so that more things would happen for our people. It is step by step by step. Everything cannot happen overnight. And look, all the cry they crying and complain, they complaining, those NNP and them, about the data protection bill. By the end of this week, that bill will pass. It will pass. And you'll hear nothing about that thereafter. So don't worry them with that stupidness. When the Senate meets this week, that bill will pass. And there will be no conversation about that thereafter. Right? So they have today to talk, tomorrow. I think the Senate meets either on Thursday or Friday. Right? They would meet either Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. And within a short space of time, that would pass. And it will become law. And you hear nothing about that thereafter. You heard me? So ignore them. The majority of those NNP folks who are talking, they don't even know what the bill contains. They don't. So they're making that an issue because they're not bright. They're not smart. The majority of them. Or if they could read and write, they're playing dumb. It's simple like that. But folks, we have to continue to do what we are doing. Once people get work, they could earn a daily bread, they could put food on the table. Job creation is important. Hence the reason we're seeing more and more people coming back here and they're building houses. More and more people come in and start liquor businesses. That is why the government invested so much in startups, the CES program, getting people to start their own business and do things, create local employment in the communities and so on. That's what you want to see happening. Because once people are empowered, once people are doing things, getting stuff done, things will turn around. So let us keep it that way. The government is strategic because you see that they're focusing heavily on agriculture. That's key. If people know that there is a market for mangoes, dasheen, ginger, plantain, that kind of stuff, then what they would do is start planting that. What they would do is start harvesting and taking care of those stuff so that they can make money out of it. Once people know that that thing exists, and that's a good thing because you can create instantly hundreds of jobs because there are people with a lot of mango trees in Grenada. Once they know, because the government got markets for mangoes, once they know that they can harvest their mangoes and they can get sale for it, they would hire people in the community to work, right? Not only that, they would plant more mangoes. Once you know you're getting sale for ginger, you would plant more ginger and you would hire more people to plant more, to get more out of it. Dashing, planting, banana, and so on. And that's a good thing. Agriculture is the way to go. It's easy for people to, do something in their backyard or their land and earn something. You may not need $1 million All you need is some cash that you could save a little, put food on the table, and take care of yourself and your family. Agriculture has always done that. I remember in the days of nutmeg back pay and cocoa back pay and them kind of thing. Once people get their liquor kakada, the place nice, the place smooth. People go and they sell the nutmeg and they have money, right? And then you have fish. When they catch fish or jacks and so on in the different areas, the place turn up. That is what we want. We want that to happen. Once like a money circulating in the communities and so on, things are nice. Yeah. And that's important. Because when the rich man gets money, he will place it in the bank. But when the ordinary people get money, they would spend it. And that is where the community would come alive. So we need to see more and more people going into agriculture. And once you get market for stuff, then more and more people will go there because they could find a living by planting X and Y. And I think the government is doing the right thing, focusing heavily on agriculture, focusing heavily on health care, focusing heavily on education, focusing heavily on tourism, focusing heavily on the creative sector. That is where the jobs would come from. So I want to encourage our people, start becoming creative, start doing things. We are that type of people. We could do it. And the government is here to support you. The private sector is here also to support you. And I always say, the jobs should really and truly be coming from the private sector, not government. Government will continue creating one or two jobs. But under the NNP, they make people believe that it is the responsibility of government to get you a work. That has to change. That has to change. If you help the businesses to survive, to expand, they will hire more people. They will hire more people. And that is what you want, because the public sector, meaning government and so on, that's already full up, ram up. You have one or two little areas where they go hire one or two people, right? That's kind of understandable. But nothing much could happen there within government. The private sector, that is why those hotels are so important. The one at Livera, the one, what's the name of that one going down to Fantasia, Grandans Beach, Fantasia, down that end. That is in some dispute since under the NNP. I think it's in the International Court or International Tribunal. That particular hotel, we need to see that, up and running again and work taking place there. The two hotels also in St. David. That's important. And then you have the smaller projects. Don't play with the construction sector, the construction industry. That is really important, where you have people building houses and you look at the amount of men and women who are employed on those projects at 50 here, at 20 here, at 30 here, at 40 here. That's important, When the Friday and these people get their money, the place does turn up. Or the fortnight, the place does turn up. So you need to see more of that happening. We need to give Grenadians the incentive to come back home and build and help Grenada to move forward. We need to see more of that happening. I mean, when you go around, it's looking pretty okay, but more the construction industry. So again, folks, we want to see our people moving away from the dependence on government where they depend on government wholly and solely to eat, to survive, to live. But the NNP spoil these people to believe that without a party in power, without government giving you this and giving you that, you cannot exist, you cannot survive. We have to break the neck of that. In fact, once we break the neck of that, the NNP is finished. Because these people get from government, but they are still loyal to the NNP. Because it's an industry. The NNP make them dependent on government. Once you break the neck of that by empowering these people, helping these people to fetch for themselves, to earn a daily bread for themselves, that would cause the NNP to be in real problems down the road. And that is what you want. You want people to reach to that place where they could walk and do things for themselves and earn a daily bread and become independent. Once that happens, the NNP in trouble. Because if you check historically, once a person gets to that place where they're no longer dependent, they're independent enough to work and earn a daily bread, they tend not to support the NNP. They tend not to be around the NNP. They tend not to think like the NNP. So that is the place where we need to be. Empower these people. Because the majority of them, they could work. For example, a gentleman called me yesterday and he said, Kem Jones, boy, he has diabetes. They cut out one of his legs. But he accustomed selling his stuff. He accustomed making his own money. And he's saying he doesn't want to depend on government. He doesn't want the poor relief assistance, $300. What he wants is an assistance to get back on his feet again, to earn his daily bread, to sell at funerals, to sell at different events and make his money. He said, yes, they cut out one of his legs, but he could still move about. He was on the bed, but now he's moving about. He's saying all he needs is an assistance to get back on his feet again, to earn his daily bread. And that is the kind of attitude that is required. You don't want to depend on a $300 and no, you don't. And that is why I always say on this program, if Kem Jones is involved in frontline politics, and mind you, that would not happen, you come to me for assistance. I will give you 12 or 20 chicks, right? And I'm giving you the feed. And you have to sign an agreement that you would take care of the 24 birds that I give you. And when you complete that 6-week cycle, you pluck, you sell. When you sell that, a portion of that must go towards buying another 24. Saving some of that money that you can't just go and tap into just like that. Saving some, and you're continuing. So you're buying your own feed in going forward. Right? You come to me, I give you some layers, you rear it, set up your pen, you get eggs, you sell the eggs, you make some money, and you take it from there. I give you some goats, some sheep. When the first one drop, that's yours. The second one, mine. You give, so I can take it and give somebody else. And I keep you like that. You come to me, you get some pigs, same thing. I help you set up your pen, you set up your, and I empower you. You get some seedlings, you get some plants, some whatever, because nearly everybody in Grenada have a piece of land, right? Or some backyard or something. And I empower you. You come to me, you get a boat, okay, a boat and an engine. When you hold the catch, a portion is mine, a portion is yours. So I could help somebody else. And I take it from there. It's simple like that. And once you start doing these things. You empower people. So they don't have to come back and beg you and beg you and beg you as the member of parliament, or beg and beg and beg everywhere they see you, they beg. In fact, when you see them, they would give you stuff. They would say, "Oh, come now, come for a egg." They say, "I'm killing a pig tomorrow, you know. What you want? You want the 4 legs? Huh? Or you want the head? Right? What pongs you want? You know? You go in the village and say, "Well, hey, I'm glad I see you. You remember what you did for me? You gave me lettuce to plant. You gave me tomatoes. You gave me some seeds, cucumber. You gave me pumpkin. You remember when you gave me those things? Well, look, I was able to plant it, harvest, and so on. Come for a bag. Hold 2 heads of lettuce. Look, 2 cabbages. Look, some tomato. Look, some, yeah, of course. Look, a whole fall now. You remember when you helped me? That is what you want to see in the different communities. Not people sit down, counting people business every day. News, gossip. Many of them not even cleaning the damn house. You understand the point? Only news and old talk and gossip. Right? Every day. And then when month end, they're running, well, not even month end, the 18th, the 19th, they're running in the revenue officer $300 in poor relief assistance. You want to break that cycle. But how do you break it? You have to empower these people. Give them that little assistance. And it could work. It could work. If they willing and able, they could break from that cycle. It might take 6 weeks. It might take a month or 2 months for them to see the thing coming in their hand. Meaning, you plant, and 6 weeks, 2 months, you start harvesting. Or you plant 6 months, 4 months, you start harvesting. Right? So it might take that. And even if you have to help them temporarily, and when the harvest comes, then you cut off the helping because they could sell those things and get by. Right? I'm saying we need to reach to that place where you empower people. We have to break the neck of this whole industry that the NNP created, this poor and vulnerable industry. You have to break the neck of that and let people know that they have to work to earn their daily bread. Because there are a lot of people out there working hard, they're paying taxes, and why should their tax dollars just come and just be used to give you $300, and you sit down drinking rum and smoking cigarette all day? Or you ain't doing nothing but minding people's business. You're not even cleaning your room or your yard. You're waiting every month end to get, $300. No, you come to me. When you come to me as the member of parliament, I should have access to resources to say, okay, give that person 24 buds and help them to set up a little pen behind the house and give them some feed to take care of the 24 buds. Right? And then feed them and give them water and so on. You come to me, I give you 6 goats and 3 pigs or 2 pigs. Right? Male and female. Or I'll give you some rabbits. Right? Or sheep or whatever. And once you take care of it, first one, you keep it. Second one, I would come for it. The third one, you keep it. The fourth one, I come in for it. Because I have to share it with other people. Yeah. That is what's supposed to happen. I help you, and then you would help others. That's how it's done. And if you can do that in every community, if at least in every community you can impact 50 people or 50 families, within no time, things will turn around. Within no time, things will turn around. So a person could make cake and pastry and so on. I'm helping you. So you could make more, you can expand. When you sell, are coming back. I want to make sure that you're able to take care of your family and you're doing things, you're turning your hand. Right? By helping you. But you have to help other people. You have to help other people, and you have to move away from that dependency. You depend on government for $300 every month. Let us break that cycle. We have to break it. Yes, there will be social safety net programs targeted to certain people who in need of the debushing work, the housing assistance, the vouchers, and so on, the family labor support, and so on. But it will be for the people who need. Yeah, who really need it. I'm helping you. You're sewing. I'm helping you with a machine. You're a seamstress. You're a tailor. I'm helping you with a machine. I'm helping you with the iron. I'm helping you with certain things so you could get off the ground. Yeah, you're a carpenter. I'm helping you with the tools, with the basic tools, so you can get off the ground. That is what is important, you know. You need to get off the ground and start doing things. We have to break the neck of the poor and vulnerable industry that the NNP created. They create that so that they can be forever relevant and so that they can remain in power. We were able to knock them out of power in the last election. But the poor and vulnerable industry that they created is still there. How do we break the neck of that? How do we dismantle that? But help the people to become independent. Come on, there are a lot of young people who they bright. They could use the computer. They could use the tablet. They're tech savvy. Let us find job opportunities for them online. Let us help them to have the best internet with speed and everything else. So you work with those internet providers to bring internet into communities, rural communities, and so on. And let's make sure that it's reliable, right? Let's do it. And they may need a little help with a computer. They may need a little help with a tablet. But it could be an investment. Because remember, you get that online work for them. You train them. You make sure that they, discipline and they could manage it. And then they give you back. They pay you back something over time. Because if you give them a computer, let's say the computer costs $1,000, and they start earning, you don't want the whole $1,000 one go. You don't have to pay back the whole $1,000 one lash. Over time, in 1 year, you say, well, or 10 months, pay me $100 every month back. Give back $100 so I can help somebody else. And then they doing their work at home. You have people monitoring them, making sure that they keep into the schedule, making sure that they, doing what must be done. You have the support structure there. It could be done. And if you can do that in communities, let's say 50, 60 people in a community, working from home, earning a daily bread, things go turn around. And that is what must happen, You cannot have people so dependent on government. There are people right now waiting for the roadwork. So they sit down waiting for the roadwork. There are people right now waiting for the back-to-school voucher, August, September. There are people right now waiting for the Poor Relief Assistance Program money, the seed money, month end. There are people right now waiting for the farm labor program. Waiting for that. They could do certain things, but they're waiting for it. There are people right now who are waiting for the material assistance and so on. And that's how they wait on these things. Because to them, it's a dependency syndrome. They're accustomed getting this from government, getting that from government. So the NNP spoil them. And that is why when Keith and all of them talk all now about the poor and the vulnerable, and look at Keith and look at some of the people who are around him, they're rich. But they leave these people poor. They left them behind, poor and vulnerable. They didn't bring them with them and make sure that they are no longer poor and vulnerable at least they have some money and they could, yeah, they keep them poor. And then he boasts about his $19 million and how much million he has and how much. Yeah, that's how they do it. They keep you forever poor and vulnerable and dependent. We have to break that cycle. But we have to create opportunities for these people. To break it, you have to create opportunities for them. Because once you break that cycle and you create opportunities for these people, they would never support the NNP. Because once you get people to see the light, to understand that they could earn a daily bread and they could be independent, they could turn their own key, so to speak. You'd have to knock and beg people to come in the house. You could turn your own key. That's significant, you know. That is very, very important. So I'm saying we could do it. We could do it. But it must be step by step. Every constituency, you target a certain amount of people to take them out of poverty, to help them to fetch for themselves, to earn for themselves. You should never make the government your main everything. So without government giving you this and giving you that, you're just stuck. But the NNP has been doing that to a lot of Grenadians. We want to break that cycle. And we could do it. We could do it, people. Step by step. Right? Yes, jobs will be created by government. They go fix roads. They go fix schools, health centers. Right? They go do things. They go spend money. People are going to get contracts and get opportunities and so on. That would continue. But we're going to see more and more people coming out of poverty. And that is why I really love the CES program. Yes, it was not perfect. A lot of people didn't get through. I know. But we need to go back now and check on all the different small businesses that got assistance and how many people they employed and how they're doing. Is there support in place to make sure that that money that they got is really bearing fruits? Better follow up, because it was a really good thing that this government initiated. Everybody didn't get. Some people still vexed and upset. Some people still waiting. But the program assisted a lot of people. So people got. Small businesses started. Some businesses were expanded and so on. Let's go and follow up now with them. Right? After a 6 months, a 6 months period or a 1 year. Follow up. Let's see how it's going now. Right? Because they should empower people, create jobs, create things in the community. We could do it. We could do it, but we have to break the cycle. Too many people depend on government, and if government then give them this and give them that, they starving, they hungry. You know what I mean? They more or less paralyzed. You don't want that. You don't want that. You want a situation where you get help and you break away from. You're no longer dependent. You no longer rely on government to give you everything. You could do it by yourself because you got the assistance that you needed. And that's the message this morning. A message of empowerment. A message of independence. We have to break this poor and vulnerable industry. We have to mash it up. There are too many people that the NNP make believe that without government they can't survive. Some of them could work, they could earn a daily bread, but they don't want to work because government will give them everything. They're going to get everything. You just have to just sit down and wait. And they bad like Bobo B for the NNP. I meet them every day. They fit the same profile. Any NNP, anywhere, I could identify them anywhere. They fit the same profile. I go to a funeral, I go to some event, I could pull them out of the crowd. I'm telling you, and they're not going to change. They depend on government because NNP, like they enroll them into this poor and vulnerable industry. So they look forward for something every month or every whatever they want from government. If government can give them, they go out and cuss and get on and ball and da-da-da. And what they're saying, calling radio program, da-da-da. They want government to do everything for them. We have to break that dependency. Because mind you, there's no political fallout from that for the NDC. The NDC not going to lose any vote by that, by making people independent, or making people, able to stand on their own 2 feet and owning something and so on. They're not going to lose anything from that, because the people who are now in the poor and vulnerable industry, they're NNP supporters, the majority of them. NNP make them poor and make them vulnerable to depend on government. You have to break that, break the neck of that. You will not lose any vote. I'm telling you, because the people who normally vote for the NNP, they're pretty much these people who are a part of that industry, the poor and the vulnerable industry, because the NNP make them poor and make them vulnerable. If you break the neck of that, yes, some of them go bawl, some of them go scream, but you give some of these people the opportunity to be independent, empower themselves. Yeah. But some go still bawl and cry and say, well, they this and they that. But because now they have to work. They have to earn their own daily bread. But we have to do it. We have to do that. You have to break the neck of this industry. And once you do that, you're good. You'll be there for a long, long, long time. Too many people depending on government for everything in this country. Every single thing. And that is why if road work late, you hear them complain. If the poor relief assistance late, you hear them complain. If the voucher late, you hear them complain. They're dependent on these things. NNP make them dependent on it. We have to break that cycle. And I would love for that to happen soonest. Got to break it. All right? Folks, I want to thank you very much for being a part of the program this morning. I want to wish you all the best. I will be back with you tonight in the hub, starting from 8 in the PM when we go on that journey again.
The proceeding was a paid program. The views expressed on this program are those of the host and guests of this program and not the views of this radio station.